Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very good evening to this edition of How to Deal with the Heat on Health Matters. Please do follow our social pages because we've got exciting information lined up just for you, and hopefully there'll be a prize or two as well. So we're very excited to partner with one of our guests, Baytul Fit, and we'll be introducing to you some of her products and a special prize in there as well, just right for your kitchen. So please do stay tuned to the rest of the show. We'll be chatting to her and also find out about exercise, hydration, dehydration, and everything that goes with this hot summer heat that we've been experiencing, alhamdulillah. Are you keeping cool this summer? But we do still know we just over, I think, 221 days of lockdown. So level 1, yes, lots and lots of things have eased. People are afraid still to go out and do the necessary. And I think that fear does come from a good place. So please go with that 6th and 7th instinct. Wear your mask, double up, sanitize, social distance, please move away from the people. Whether you are at a family function and I know you want to go and hug that family member, you miss them, and we have these various modes of getting in contact with each other, so please use that, and as we do throughout the show. So how to deal with the heat for this evening, please do interact with us. If you'd like to call us live, we have a new in-studio number, 010-054-5736. I know that's a new number. We will show it throughout this the show on screen, so you can jot it down, save it on your phone. That's also our new office number as well. We've got a new office number. Please do contact us and visit our website for more details. So our in-studio number live is 010-054-5736. Take down that number and send it to the rest of your friends and family and tell them our numbers have changed. I'm Khawa Solomon. Stay with me for the next hour. So we'll be hosting a competition, as I mentioned, with Baytul Fit. Please keep an eye out for ITV Network's social pages, as well as visit Baytul Fit's social pages. And there's, like I said, awesome prizes to be won, but more on that in a few minutes. Let's look at COVID-19 stats here in South Africa. Please, we cannot reiterate enough to you how important it is to still follow the necessary guidelines when it comes to protecting you and your family and your loved ones. You might not think that you're going to get sick, but there are lots and lots of people walking around actually with the virus, not even having any symptoms. So you can just quickly hand it over to a loved one, an elderly loved one, who can be prone to the reality of death because of COVID-19. So please, please protect yourself and others. Lots of people talking about the possible second wave. We will be having a follow-up show with that. But now let's deal with the heat and what's happening around us in South Africa in this great summer heat, alhamdulillah. We now connect with Baytul Fit, who is our wellness coach and has an online store, online fitness routine, just loads of things. Please visit her social pages as well as her a website where she's got lots of things to keep everyone just inspired. So let's chat to Baytul. Assalamu alaikum to you, Baytul. Welcome back.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me again at your show.
It's a pleasure having you. The last time it just went, we flew through the show, and we're hoping to have some more time with you quickly before we get into the nitty gritties of the competition, which we're very excited to partner with you. Let's just quickly talk about the importance of this, about being hydrated during this heat.
I think it's extremely important to stay hydrated in heat. for many reasons. Staying hydrated helps us to regulate our body temperature, and it keeps our joints lubricated, and it prevents infections, and it also delivers nutrients to our cells. So it also, like, I noticed, like, the days I drink water, it helps me with my sleep, with my mood, with my cognition, and also it helps me with my thirst. So it's extremely important not to be dehydrated this summer, and make sure you're getting enough water in your body.
I actually forgot my water bottle today at home when I rushed out this evening, and I was moaning at everybody here at the studio to say, please get me some water, because you can already feel your body lacking something when you're feeling thirsty. And often they say when you're feeling thirsty, already means that you're dehydrated. Is that true?
Yeah, and also remember as our metabolism functions and as we eat food, our body produces heat to digest the food. And if we're not drinking enough water, then we're overheating our body, and we can be very dehydrated. So it's extremely important to have your 2.5 to 3 liters of water every day, depending on the country you are, and also if you are doing excessive sports, and and also if you are pregnant, obviously and also your body and your height and your weight is all important. So it all depends on these things. So, like, how much of water you should be having a day.
Okay, so Betu, when we look at food and drink and the combination thereof, are there any advantages of eating some kinds of foods, whether it be fruits and vegetables or just like a sandwich with some refreshing goodies on there? Tell us, if you could just point out to us, what are some of the foods and liquids that will actually not just hydrate us, but keep us cool?
So I actually just designed this rejuvenating plan for my clients, and there's all these fruits and the vegetables that they should be eating this summer. And it's also very important to have the summer fruits in the season. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created these fruits and vegetables for that season for a reason. So for example, like fruits to have would be like watermelons, melons, peaches, oranges, and strawberries. And then you can have your veggies like cucumber and lettuce, and these are all high in water content, and it's extremely important to include it in our diet, just so that it cools us our intestines and our bodies. And also there's an important tip that you should do in summer. You should make sure you avoid food that produces heat in your body. So having spicy food and having too much of caffeine intake, and having sugary drinks like fizzy drinks and oily fried foods, even like dates and peanuts and like pistachios. So these are the things that you should try and avoid in summer. And yeah.
Let's talk about exercise, your arena as well, and why you got into this whole routine of keeping fit as well. Tell us about the clothing some people wear. Is there an impact on the type of clothing that we wear because of the weather? Do we have to consider that? Or also when exercising, what is important that we need to know?
So during your exercises, you should always try and wear clothes that are cotton and are cooling on your skin. So if you are a hijabi, make sure that you are wearing cooling clothes. And also while you're exercising, it's very important to take your water bottle with, and just to stay hydrated, even if it means drinking about 2 liters of water just in your workout. It's like worth it, because I mean, it's so hot these days that you can get extremely dehydrated. And it's really important because like us hijabis are like dressed up so covered that we feel too hot in the clothes. You know what I mean? So
let's talk about being too hot in the clothes, because that's come up for me. Often people ask, because I'm dressed so warmly, I'm going to lose weight quickly. Is that true? And what is your tips when exercising in this hot weather as well?
Yeah, so it does help definitely, because I, even when it's when it's in summer, I try and put a hoodie on when I'm doing cardio so I can sweat more and I
Okay.
can flush out all the toxins from my body. And I usually have like before I go to the gym, I will usually have like my pre-workout, and during my exercise I'll have my essential amino acids, and just so that my body is hydrated all the time. And if you can take an Energate with you, you can have that as well. I guess we can't do anything about the clothing part. We just have to hydrate, and dress modestly. No matter how steaming hot you are, just dress modestly.
It's part of the rule. Betul, don't go anywhere. We'll continue our conversation and exciting news about the competition just after this. Don't go anywhere. How to deal with this hot weather just after this. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Khawas Solomon. It is heat, hot weather. Are you hot or bothered? Are you dealing with the hot weather? We'll have our specialists talk us through that a little bit later on. But still with us is Betul from Betul Fit, wife, entrepreneur, mom. Very excited to chat to her and also collaborate with her and her nutritional products, also her Betul Fit boutique, and remember, she's got some great advice on her website, so please visit Betul Fit. Betul, just to quickly wrap up, I know that you've mentioned, unfortunately, we realize as women and sometimes with men, we've got to cover our odor at a certain position, and there's nothing we can do about it. But does it help having certain clothing underneath those, exercising clothing, or any tips that you've got that can, can the heat also affect our performance when wearing all of this as well?
The best tip I can give you is when you're going to bed at night, and how you can stay cool at night in your sleep at least, is to wear something that's soft on your skin and light clothes. And also you can control your sleeping environment by maybe using a standing fan or an aircon. And also you can go and have like a cooling bath, like in a cool water. And also you can just like open your windows a little bit. I know it's not safe in South Africa, but it can be extremely hot.
Tawakkal Allah, tawakkal
And
Allah.
yeah, and also like in the afternoon, you can keep your blinds closed, and so that the sun doesn't come in the house during the day, and it keeps the house cooler that way. And also avoid exercising just before you go into bed.
Okay, Betul, let's get to the competition. Talk about your collaboration with ITV, why you have done that, and what does it entail?
Well, as you know, December is approaching. Everyone is in a mission to get into shape because we're hoping to have a good holiday in December. And I thought it would be the best giveaway to do a giveaway of my products. So I have my fat burner, I have my fat reduction gel, I have my collagen, and I have my hairspray also. Like, obviously, you want to have nice, thick-looking hair in summer. So I've done a combination of these amazing 4 products. Collagen helps you with skin, hair, nails, joints, lower back pains, knee pains. So it's extremely good to have in your diet. And the fat burner, well, I have gotten a lot of good reviews on it, and it's like a really good fat burner. And I often get DMs about girls on Instagram saying that when am I doing the next giveaway? And they're so excited when I do giveaways, because so many people, I think during COVID, had some financial issues. So they get so excited when I do the giveaways. And so I just said it would be a good idea to do this. And for those who don't know about my products and haven't tried my products, can give them opportunity to try them.
So please visit Beitul Fit website. She's got, of course, the products, the Beitul Fit products, as well as her boutique exclusive ladies wear. So please watch out for that. Thank you so much, Beitul. We really appreciate your time and collaborating with us in this competition. We're also going to be adding an appliance to your kitchen with that. So stay tuned and watch our social pages. All the best till we chat again, Beitul. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much.
It's a
Walaikum
pleasure.
salam.
So there we have it, some exciting news happening on our Health Matters ITV Network's social pages. Please stay tuned for that. Now let's move right to our next guest, Nuran from Cape Town, who's our COVID-19 survivor. Assalamu alaikum to you, Nuran. Oh, walaikum salam. I'm having some sound problems. Nuran, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. How are you doing? Alhamdulillah. Nice to have you with us.
Alhamdulillah.
So you from the beautiful town of Surrey Estate, Greenhaven in Cape Town. What is the weather like? Because today's topic, especially dealing with summer's heat. Let's quickly find out how you're dealing with the heat.
Today was very hot. Even though I couldn't feel it, I went to work today. So, yeah, it was very hot when I came home from work.
All right. So you're keeping cool now. Hopefully hydrated.
Yeah.
All right, Nuran, tell us a bit about your story. You've got a 6-year-old little girl, mother, wife, sister. You love doing regular exercises, love the outdoors. So COVID must have really affected you being isolated. Talk to us about when you first discovered you had it, your symptoms.
Okay, so what happened is on the 9th of October, so it's almost a month ago,
Yeah.
I woke up that morning and I felt lethargic. I felt heaviness in my head and I just thought I have maybe bad sinus. I felt tired, like I said, and I just wanted to lay. And I slept the whole day. For the 2 days later, still feeling that same way. After the 3rd day, and for me being tired, I just thought, okay, it's the medication because the sinus medication just make you drowsy. And I just thought that COVID never came to my mind at all. My family is very cautious and yeah, so we thought that I never thought it was COVID. After the 3rd day, my husband started feeling the same. He started having bad headaches, very tired, lethargic. He had bad temperature. And then I thought, no, we have to go to the doctor. And then the doctor told us, no, we have to go for a COVID test. And I was just a bit shocked. It took 2 days for us to get tested, to get an appointment though. And by the Thursday, his results came back because he had underlying conditions, that he was positive. And the conditions, the symptoms that we felt was, like I said, we were very lethargic, heaviness on our in our head, on our chest. My chest felt a bit heavy. I felt nauseous for 2 weeks. Luckily, I had still my taste buds. Yeah.
Okay. So this must have affected you from the beginning already. When after you got the results, being separated, was your little one with you? And what about the rest of your family? Were they able to assist, whether it was food or medication, leaving at the gate? How what did that entail?
So my daughter was with me all the time. Okay. I was very grateful for my family and the support, family, friends, and neighbors for dropping off food almost every day, groceries that you needed, and that support, you need that support. Yeah. Because you are so tired and you just want to sleep and you're not feeling well. So that really helped us. I missed my family big time. My family WhatsApped me and video called me every day just to hear how we're doing. But it wasn't easy. It felt, I was very emotional. I thought it was like a death sentence at first. And also having to monitor myself, my husband, and my daughter all the time. It wasn't easy.
Well, it must have been quite trying and tiring for you. What was the duration of all of this happening, being isolated at home and feeling the symptoms, feeling the worst, and then slowly recovering? What was the timeline?
So that was around about 2 weeks. The worst part was the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thereafter, I could feel the third week, I started feeling getting stronger. This week is my fourth week. But I'm still getting some symptoms.
Okay.
Like, for example, I still feel nauseous at times. I still feel a bit of heaviness on my chest. And yeah.
What is the protocol with regards to you going back to work? How are your employees handling your condition? Employers, rather.
And they were very supportive. I must tell you, today was my first day back at the office. We are working remotely at the moment. And I went to the office today, and I found I was a bit scared to go back to work, to tell you the truth. I was worried that what's people going to think? They're not going to want to speak to me or be close to me.
Okay.
And they were very supportive. They all just wanted to know information of how I got it, yes, and what the symptoms is, because I feel that there's not enough information out there. I know it's everywhere that the information is everywhere about having sore throat, coughing, but I never had a sore throat. I never coughed.
So it didn't feel like the flu. It didn't feel like the flu for you, like a very bad flu.
No.
Okay.
No. So everybody's symptoms are different.
Sure. You speak about the fear of, being isolated or judged or looked at because you had COVID, and it was quite the opposite for you. So what would you like to tell people that still have that fear and actually go through that isolation and being ostracized because they have COVID?
Yeah, I think it's got to do with knowledge as well. So people, I was the same. When I heard of somebody having COVID, I wouldn't want to even be close to that person afterwards.
Yeah.
Or you walk around, or you walk take a distance away from that person. And I think it's got to do with information out there, because you're not contagious. After 14 days, you're not contagious.
Okay.
And I think people have to just realize that we are also people, and we didn't do anything to get COVID purposely. Up to today, we still don't know how we got it.
So your advice for those people that need to protect themselves, we are going to possibly see a second wave. What would you like to say to them?
I would like to tell them that please be careful. I know I see quite a few people still not wearing masks out there. Or if they're wearing masks, it's underneath their noses, or not even covering their mouth. They must please wear a mask. It helps a lot. It doesn't protect you completely, but it helps.
Yeah.
Washing hands 20 seconds, keeping that safe distance from 1.5 meters is very important.
Yeah. Nuran Abrams, you did well. Thank you so much. Shukran for telling us your story. It will definitely help others survive and get through their COVID-19 symptoms and the actual virus, and actually recognizing. All the best to you and your family, and do look after yourself. Keep well, hey? Assalamu alaikum. That was Nuran Abrams, one of our COVID-19 survivors. We interview them every Tuesday evening. Remember, catch the repeats of Health Matters, this show, as well as all the other shows on our ITV networks. Health Matters YouTube channel. We're quickly going to pay the bills. When we get back, remember, what's heating things up and how to stay cool is what we're dealing with just after this. Stay with us.
Today's topic is heat stroke. Heat stroke is an illness marked by an elevation in the body's temperature, usually as a result of prolonged exposure to high temperature. Heat stroke results in a body temperature greater than 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. The condition is most common in the summer months and is the most serious heat-related illness. Heat stroke is a medical emergency and can be fatal if not promptly and properly treated. Untreated heat stroke can quickly damage multiple organs, including the brain, lungs, liver, muscles, digestive tracts, circulatory system, and kidneys. The longer treatment is delayed, the more the damage worsens, increasing the risk of serious complications and even death. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, estimates that the condition kills more than 600 people in the United States each year. There are two types of heat stroke, exertional and non-exertional. Exertional heat stroke occurs in people whose bodies are no longer able to adapt to rising temperatures due to intense physical activities, such as exercising or working in hot weather.
How to deal with this summer's heat. Big thank you to the organization Medical Centric for providing us that information on heat stroke. And often we speak about heat stroke is when we're traveling or going on Umrah or Hajj. This time it is a reality and can possibly happen in today's weather. Global warming is happening, the weather are extreme throughout the world, and yet we're still dealing with the pandemic. But now let's welcome our specialist online. A big thank you to Dr. Shuaib Wadi. He's no stranger to health matters, executive member of the IMASA, and very involved in helping to keep this pandemic intact and at bay, protecting the rest of the South Africans, as well as our specialist nephrologist in private practice. Let's also, Assalamu alaikum to you, Doc. How are you doing?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm well. How are you, Khawa?
Shukr, alhamdulillah. Nice to have you back with us. And hope you are well that side. I know we're taking a bit of your rested time, but it's going to be put to good use, inshallah. Shukran. And then we have Dr. Mohammed Hassan, also our nephrologist, online with us. A big shukran to him. And doctor is also in private practice now in Lenasia, and has been around South Africa with his various speciality modalities. And as I said, he is also a nephrologist. We'll be tackling some of the questions, your questions. So please do send them through. Our WhatsApp line is open. We've also got a new live studio number. It will show on the screen 0100545736. Still getting used to it. So please jot down that number, and as well as our WhatsApp number, and I'll get that in studio and record it. So Dr. Mohammed Hassan, are you with us?
Assalamu alaikum.
Shukr, alhamdulillah, jazakallah for your time again. So Dr. Shuaib, if I could start with you, just quickly explain the video that we just showed of the heat stroke with regards to the situation in South Africa. If the heat does get to those temperatures as it does in the USA, and what should one do?
So, as you know, South Africa has a fairly temperate climate, but there are areas in South Africa which can get very hot. And especially when we get into summer, we do have sometimes temperatures approaching the late 30s and sometimes 40 degrees Celsius. Now, your body, is a very finely tuned instrument. Alhamdulillah, Allah SWT made it in such a way that your body can tolerate a wide variety of temperatures. You've got mechanisms in your body to warm you when the temperature outside is very cool, and you've got mechanisms to cool you when the temperature is warm outside, and some of those are just behavioral things, like wearing more clothes, like going inside, like putting on the heater or putting on the fan or the air conditioning. And others are things which are built into your body, like sweating, redistribution of the blood supply to your skin. So when it's very warm, for example, much more blood goes to your skin, so you can lose the heat from inside your body. You can radiate it out. Whereas where it's very cold, you constrict blood vessels to your skin, so that less of your body's warmth is lost. So one of the things about the heat in South Africa is not just the absolute temperature. There's something called the heat index, which is the temperature and the humidity combined. Because if it's a very warm day but it's not very humid, your ability to lose heat from your body through sweating and other mechanisms is much improved. So warm and dry is better tolerated than warm and humid. And people will tell you that when they go to a humid area like Durban or the Emirates or some cities in the US or coastal cities, they feel very, very uncomfortable even when the temperature is not that high compared to, for example, a higher temperature in Johannesburg. So also, even if the temperature is, say, 35 degrees Celsius maximum. But if you're sitting in the sun, direct sunlight, or you're sitting in a car with the windows closed, or you're doing exercise in that warm, your body temperature can rise substantially, and then that can overcome your body's ability to control the temperature. And then these conditions like heat exhaustion or heat stroke occurs when your temperature in your body starts rising, and then your body system starts failing, because the systems in your body, the proteins in your body, are designed to work within a certain narrow temperature range. If you increase the temperature too much, then the proteins denature or they stop working properly, and then you start developing system or organ failure.
Okay.
So as you saw in the video, the heat stroke is the most serious form of heat exposure injury, where the rise in the body temperature, either through exertional means, that means it's warm, but your body temperature rises a lot because you're doing exercise and you're generating much more heat, or non-exertional, where the temperature is just so hot, the ambient temperature, that your body can't cope. And then your core temperature inside your body starts rising to such a degree that your organ systems start failing, you become confused, your heart function may worsen, as you mentioned, your kidney function, your liver function. So many organs can start failing, and eventually you can end up with a multi-organ failure type situation.
I want to come back to that question and look at the sort of time frame that your organs and parts of your body does get affected. But Dr. Mohammed Hassan, please explain to us the difference now from heat stroke to heat exhaustion, and what are some of the warning signs of heat exhaustion?
Sure. So I think basically all these illnesses fall under the category umbrella of basically heat-related illnesses. They range from very minor and innocuous conditions like heat rash, heat cramps, but then on the more dangerous spectrum, we have heat stroke. So if heat exhaustion obviously is prolonged and isn't addressed quickly enough, you can progress the heat stroke. The hallmark of heat stroke is a temperature above 40 degrees Celsius, as shown in the video, but also confusion. I think if somebody whose temperature is very high and confused, and there's no really other cause apart from maybe being exposed to a very hot or humid environment, then they are at risk of having heat stroke. Usually, it's basically either, as described, exertional or non-exertional. So exertional is basically related to activity and exercise. Very interesting. I actually looked at it 8 years ago. There were 6 people who passed away in Pietermaritzburg from a heat stroke, which was exertional in nature. I think they were about 13,000 people were shortlisted for police applications, and they had to run a 4-kilometer race in 30 minutes. And many of them were not fit enough or acclimatized, or physiologically the bodies weren't strong enough to make that distance in that time. And as a result, 6 people passed away. So it is a very serious illness. Now, so that's heat stroke. The hallmarks are confusion together with a high temperature above 40 degrees. And it can progress over a few days to multi-organ failure, kidney failure being one of them. Now, for heat exhaustion, it's more non-specific symptoms. And again, your temperature can be in the normal range. Can it go up to 39, but usually less than 40. And with it as well, the symptoms are headache, nausea, dizziness, tiredness, fatigue, very more non-specific symptoms. But the thing about it, it doesn't only occur to those who basically have, to those who are exercising. It's also occurring to usually those who are at risk are the very elderly or the very young. And the reason is, as Shoaib was explaining, the body has certain mechanisms to deal with heat, to get rid of the extra heat. And at either age extreme, the ability to get rid of the heat is impaired. So with kids, they have their skin is very much smaller compared to their mass. As they grow, obviously, the proportions change, and they can't lose heat as a result. For the elderly, they have an impaired sense. They don't drink more fluid just by aging. They lose the ability or the feeling, the sense of thirst. Together with the sweat glands tend to basically atrophy and die out. So they lose a bit of ability to sweat and lose heat. So they are the group which is very vulnerable, which is very at risk. And that is the group where heat stroke, exhaustion or heat stroke can occur. And so the symptoms, we've spoken about the symptoms. And there are other environments which are just high risk. I think kids left in cars are another basically very dangerous group. We spoke about people who are performing quite strenuous exercises, and laborers are working out in the sun. Those are fairly high risk groups. But a key message is something which should be prevented and not really treated.
Okay, so Dr. Wadi, coming back to you, with regards to the heat stroke and some of the organs that could be affected because of heat stroke, what are the time frames we're looking at? Is it quite prolonged within the heat area, or areas of extreme exhaustion, or does it happen quickly?
So what you're really asking is how long do you have to be in a hot environment and hot area before you start getting heat stroke? And the answer differs for different people, as Mohammed said. So there are people who are, I mean, if you put anybody in an oven for long enough, they will fry their brain. But I mean, the reality is different people have different thresholds. And as Mohammed said, there's certain people whose threshold is relatively low and they're at high risk. So for example, because of the things he spoke about, and the elderly, but also people who are not used to warm temperatures. So, for example, people who live in a cool, temperate climate or a very cool area, and then go to a very warm area, and then maybe, so say you go on holiday, for example, and you mentioned Hajj and Umrah when it's in summer, and you normally come from Joburg, and it's been winter in Joburg, and then you go and it's summer in Makkah, and then you go straight in, and then you want to do your Umrah immediately in the middle of the day, you're going to have a problem because your body is not acclimatized to that type of heat, to that type of temperature, doing physical exertion and so forth and so on. So usually it's a number of things together which will then predispose you to having heat stroke. The acclimatization is important because people who live in warm areas which are very warm, tend to develop better mechanisms. First of all, they know when to go out. They know when is the hottest time of the day. They know when to avoid going out. They know where the shady areas are. They usually have air conditioning in their homes and so forth and so on. Also, their bodies change. They have better physiological mechanisms. Their sweat glands develop. They have more sweat glands and better sweat glands than people who don't live in those areas. So you may find that, for example, laborers who work in the fields in India or South America or those type of areas where the temperature can get very hot will be working in the hot sun and won't get heat stroke. Whether if you go out there and you spend an hour in that sun, you'll be collapsing. So those people, their bodies have acclimatized in many ways. And then the other things are people who are on certain type of medicine. So if you're taking certain type of medication like beta blockers, which we use for hypertension, or anticholinergics, which people use for for urinary problems, or sometimes for nerve damage, and sometimes for depression. Those type of things, or even antihistamines may have some anticholinergic effects. Those type of things decrease your ability to sweat or to modulate the temperature changes that you need. So, for example, one of the things that happens when you're in a very warm environment is that your blood vessels dilate in your skin and your heart pumps a bit faster. But if you're on a medication called a beta blocker, you can't dilate those blood vessels and your heart can pump a bit faster. So you have a blunted effect. So your ability to lose heat is impaired, and therefore the chance of you developing a heat-related illness like heat stroke or heat exhaustion is much higher. So as Mohammed was saying, prevention is better than cure. If you are on any of those medicines, you need to be careful, and you need to prevent yourself from being at risk or getting heat stroke.
So we talk about preventions and some of the things and questions that are coming in: ice water, fruit juice. What do you use to beat the heat? More just after the stay with us. pertinent information of how to recognize the difference between heat stroke and an actual stroke, thanks to the American Heart Association. Welcome back. This is Health Matters, how to beat the heat this summer, especially the hot weather in Johannesburg. Alhamdulillah, we say shukr. It's been nice and cool. But let's hear from our specialist nephrologist, Dr. Muhammad Hassan and Dr. Shuaib Wadi. Assalamu alaikum, gentlemen. Welcome back. We want to deal with some of the things that will help and aid us to keep cool. So, Dr. Muhammad, there has been a question that has come in. Can one drink really cold ice water? And what steps can be taken to keep yourself cool during heat exhaustion and, just feeling hot and bothered? Dr. Muhammad?
Okay, so I think basically, like we said, it's about prevention. So sensible things, hot days, trying to spend much time in the shade as you can. Having an air conditioner, fan is very helpful. Wearing clothes which basically permit evaporation of sweat. So cotton, easy, breathable fabrics are really a good idea. Those ones which block perspiration are really something to be avoided. In terms of drinking, yes, cool fluids makes a lot of sense. Normally, I'm pretty much against fruit juices because the amount of sugar in them is quite high. But under certain circumstances, it is very good. To preventing dehydration, coconut water has got a lot of electrolytes. And you literally just need a bit of salt and sugar in whatever you're drinking. So making homemade remedies for oral rehydration solution, adding a liter of water, putting in basically 8 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt. And that's basically a good enough home remedy just to basically keep somebody hydrated. But it's basically very sensible things. Also, like I said, for kids, don't leave your kids in the car. It's a very dangerous thing to do for children. Check up on your elderly parents if the weather is very hot. Look at the warning systems. If South African Weather Service do have warning announcements on Twitter and various other platforms that you should be keep an eye on. And that's basically the most important things to do to prevent heat stroke.
Okay, you've mentioned heat cramps earlier on as well as heat rash. Just tell us about who gets affected by heat cramps and what exactly are they?
So I think we've all watched cricket in the subcontinent where you get these batsmen, they're running in and they basically fall down and they're massaging the calves. It's a typical example of heat cramps. Hot, humid environments, usually athletes, and they're basically dehydrated as well. So it's usually involving the calves, the thighs, the bigger muscles. They can also involve the abdomen. More sportsmen, more humid, hot environments. And the best treatment for it is just stretching, increasing your fluid intake. Again, a bit of sugar and salt, electrolytes, just to sort those out. And usually you should settle within an hour or two, but it can be quite painful. With regards to heat rash, more for kids, more problem with kids or basically adults who live in very hot, humid environments. And it's basically a bit of skin irritation and blocked skin ducts. So it's worsened by the more you sweat, the more the rash is going to get worse. So it's basically, again, keeping yourself cool will help with the rash. And again, same breathable fabrics, loose fitting fabrics, so quite advantageous. It doesn't really irritate the skin that much and block ducts. And treatment is usually just applying some cool cloths over the areas, some calamine lotion for the itching, and you should hopefully respond to those simple patients.
So the extreme conditions that we deal with sometimes often allows us to go for extreme solutions. So we're getting really hot, literally at the point of just wanting to collapse, and you go into a room, blast the aircon, take really really cold ice blocks or ice water to try and cool yourself down. What does that do to the body, that extremes?
100%. So you're trying to basically just dissipate all heat. So the advice for somebody who's suffering heat exhaustion, take them out of the sun, put them in the shade, put the aircon on, fan on, take off all unnecessary clothes, just cool the body. So just by evaporation, just wetting them, putting a wet sheet over them, and a fan will help with evaporation. That's usually good enough and adequate to basically help bring the temperature down. Because the aim of all these treatments is to bring down the treatment as fast as possible to a normal temperature. And that will hopefully prevent further organ dysfunction. As we pointed out, if the temperature continues to rise above 40 degrees, that's when the proteins in the body start denaturing, it's when inflammation starts setting in, and organs can fail and people can die. So you want to be quite extreme.
Yeah.
Eventually, if the patient has heat stroke and you have to get to hospital, and like I said, you identify that by a person whose temperature is high, they are confused, rather take them to hospital. And the treatment in hospital should be immersing them in an ice water bath.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed Hassan, and that's where we have to leave it. Dr. Shoaib, 30 seconds for you, unfortunately. Our time has run up. Your last concluding comments, Dr. Shoaib?
Yeah, I think, as Mohammed has pointed out, the goal is to cool you as much as possible. But I think the fluid, and drinking water and other fluids also has a role to play in preventing dehydration, which often goes together with heat stroke and heat exhaustion. People lose a lot of water through sweating and other mechanisms. So sometimes they need to take in some fluids to correct the dehydration as well. So I think that helps also to prevent further organ damage by making sure that they remain well hydrated.
Sure. Shukran so much to our specialist nephrologist, Dr. Shoaib Wadi, as well as Dr. Mohammed Hassan for their great advice on beating the heat this summer. We appreciate your time. Assalamu alaikum to you, gentlemen. And unfortunately, that's where we have to leave it. Join us next week as we tackle disability rights awareness and possibly also looking at the second wave in the next coming weeks. Please stay tuned to Health Matters every Tuesday evening, 8:30 to 9:30, with repeated shows on Wednesdays and Sundays. From myself, Hawa Solomon, and the rest of our team here in Johannesburg, wassalamu alaikum and goodbye for now.